Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. The NBA draft just concluded. Pacers got some good players in the second round, starting with the 38th pick, Cam Jones out of Marquette. 6'5" guard, great scorer, averaged 17 points a game. Honestly, Pacers need some depth, and I'm going to talk about it later. But just to start off with, the scoring off the bench is going to continue to be one of the main stories for the Pacers as they were one of the best scoring benches in the league in 2024-2025 season, also the year before. And just adding a player like Cam Jones, who could have been a late first round, most likely a early second round, so he was an early second round pick. Very, very good upside. Definitely someone that the Pacers were looking at, which is why they traded up as far as they did with the San Antonio Spurs. But this pick isn't screaming out starter. Obviously, it's a second round pick. We drafted Johnny Furphy around this pick last year. Furphy was the 36th pick. But Jones is the guy who's going to get his minutes. With the injury to Tyrese Halliburton, there's definitely going to be a lot more playing time to go around in the guard position. And the way I set this episode up is I'm going to kind of just slowly go one by one just to see how each of these kind of draft day moves are really gonna benefit the Pacers like that. So good start with Jones. Um, when it comes to Talon Peter, he is a 50, 40, 78 guy. Not the best free throw shooter, but a very good shooter, very efficient, good 3-point shooter. The 54th pick, I mean, there were other players like Ryan Nemhard still on the board, but Pacers got a good one here. Went to Liberty, all CUSA team. He was a six-man of the year in the CUSA. One of those players that might not actually really see the court as much this year. It's kind of another draft around the same area that Enrique Freeman was last year, and Tristan Newton. We saw Tristan Newton um, was released and ended up in Minnesota. Enrique Freeman stuck around. Jalen Peters, a guy that could play for the Noblesville Boom. He's probably going to end up signing a two-way deal. Cam Jones will most likely sign a decent deal, being the 38th pick. Could also be a two-way player, but that's a little bit more out of the way for him. But with Peter, I think he would be a good player for the Noblesville Boom. I think he can be a player that can get called up when needed. Um, we already know that Halliburton's going to be out for the season, but barring any injury, we've had a few injury bugs last season. We had Nemhard out for a lot of games. Neeson was out for 30 games. Shepard was out for a good amount of games. So just anything like that, a guy like Taylor and Peter could end up getting his minutes. So that would be a good thing to look at. Um, when it comes to this draft, it is a good thing that they went guard because when it comes to forward and center depth, at the moment we have some good forward and center depth. We have good guards too, but our guards has normally been where our big injury problems have been. Our forward depth, it really starts with Siakam and Turner for centers. But then we also have Isaiah Jackson, Thomas Bryant, Obi Toppin, just some really good players, Jarris Walker, Enrique Freeman, Tony Bradley. One person can get in, get their minutes, play a good game. So when it comes to guards, while guard is one of the most talented positions on the Pacers, obviously outside of Halliburton, you get Andrew Nemhard, Benedict Mathurin, DJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd, just some very good players in that sense. But also adding some decent players in the draft, especially in the second round, didn't have to give up too much. Just being able to kind of build your roster, have it ready for training camp, and just be able to really see how they would fit into the scheme, how they can play under Rick Carlisle. Knowing that these two aren't going to be the star players for this team. Someone like Cam Jones could be a sleeper pick. He could get you average 8 to 10 points a game off the bench in his first season if he's playing 10, 15-ish minutes, which obviously you have to work for because of how deep the team actually is. But like I said earlier, the injury to Halliburton is one of the reasons that these two players could end up seeing a little bit more playing time than a normal 54th overall pick or 30th overall pick would as a rookie. I mean, we've only ever had one, at least recently, one second round pick win Rookie of the Year, and that was Malcolm Brogdon in the 2016-2017 season. Brogdon, ironically enough, had a stint with the Pacers, played a very good few years with the Pacers before we traded him for Aaron Nesmith to the Celtics. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job. Um, I kind of already talked about this, but I do want to just reiterate kind of how everything works. Your star point guard gets injured. Now you have a lot more open space, especially for depth reasons. Um, Neither Jones or Peter is going to be the starting point guard next year. But just by the way they play and the way they show out and just comes to dedication and just how they really want to insert themselves in this lineup. Now we've seen how Jarris Walker was the eighth overall pick in 2023, and he's still trying to kind of gain his footing in the Pacers lineup, and it hasn't really been. It's been up and down for Walker. We saw he didn't get to play in the finals because of that ankle injury he suffered against the Knicks. But when it comes to just the depth and the how the Pacers are going to rely on a bunch of different players this year, they're going to rely on their bench more than ever before. Just because the star player of this team, the guy who anchors everything, is going to have to lead from afar. Now, someone like Halliburton can help, could kind of mentor a guy like Jones and a guy like Peter, can be like, hey, this team is special. You want to play for this team? You're going to have to bring your A game 24/7. Always be the first to practice, be the last to leave. Be the first to get to the game, be the first to shoot around, be the last to get off the court after the game. So just stuff like that. When it comes to skills, both these players are very talented. Both had very good final seasons in college. Um, it takes a lot to be drafted into the NBA, and for both of these players to get the opportunity on a team that had just made the NBA Finals, that were a game away from winning the NBA Finals, one injury away from winning the NBA Finals, is a very good start. Um, Obviously, there's going to be a lot of work to do if they want to make the roster and if they want to have a long career for the Pacers. For Peter, he's going to have a little bit more. Um, Most of his things, the time to prove will be in the G League if he signs that two-way deal. For Jones, it's not exactly in and out if he's going to sign a two-way. He's most likely going to sign a contract to actually be with the team. But he could also be a player that can get some minutes in the G League. We saw with Furphy, with Walker, with Shepard before he got his big opportunity last season. They got some good minutes in the G League. So that's just kind of something to look at. Overall, I think the Pacers did a good job. I think they kind of just got the players that they wanted. And that's all. That's all you really need, especially if both of your picks are in the second round. You don't really have a first round pick. So I'll give him a solid B, B plus. Would have been cool to draft someone like Ryan Nemhard, at least with that 54th pick. I really thought that's where they were gonna go. Have the brothers on the team. But overall, good draft. Nothing too outlandish, too crazy. But some good players, some solid role players that can get the job done. Good shooters, good scorers, which is really all that they need. They're not going to rely on them too much. Now, if there's injuries, like I said earlier, these players will have to be first ones up. They'll have to show that they belong and that they want to be here. So, congrats to them for being drafted. Um, Looking forward to see what they do and just how they adjust to the NBA. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go Sirs.